Guys, what's up? Fabio here. Hope you guys are all fantastic. In today's video, we're going to be diving into the markets, mainly euro dollar, Aussie dollar, and pound dollar, based on my strategy, which utilizes market structure, supply and demand, liquidity, and order flow. So with that said, let's dive in. Do not forget to leave a like and subscribe, and let's have a look at where the market is heading next. Now, looking at the overall weekly time frame, order flow is at the moment still bullish, despite us tapping in towards this weekly area of supply. So we saw that weekly reaction pull back up again. However, yeah, we just saw pretty much this sell before the big buy off hold as an area of demand. Since then, price has been moving up again, and order flow or bullish order flow has still been sustaining, which can result, of course, in higher prices. And as long as this area of demand holds and the daily remains bullish market structure wise, I do expect higher prices to be reached. So that's the weekly time frame, and let's dive in towards the daily. So looking at the daily time frame from a market structure perspective, the daily strong swing low has held, and we do still expect to see higher prices and a new higher high form. So this low, strong swing low has held, and this weak high over here, because this high has not achieved anything, this low has of course achieved a break of structure over here. Therefore, we expect this low to hold and this high to break and a new higher high to form. We're in a bullish trend, and in a bullish trend we of course expect weak highs to give in and the strong lows to hold. When it comes to liquidation, we saw a liquidation happen inside this lower area of demand. Of course, this low over here saw liquidation on it, and it occurred, and we therefore saw a fake kind of like breakout. A lot of people trying to sell, but then of course kind of like this V-shaped reaction back up in towards the highs, giving a very aggressive reversal and continuation of the overall daily swing trend. Next to that, supply and demand wise, what has been happening, order flow is bullish, and we expect of course areas of supply to simply act as reaction points. This of course being supply, which broke, let's say this low, push in towards downside, comes in towards supply, reaction point, but then of course continues higher with the overall daily bullish order flow and the daily market structure. This sell before the buy acted as our demand zone, came back in it, and then we saw further continuation up in towards the highs. Overall, we can of course see price continue higher. This is the overall idea of this area of demand holding, and this of course now being your new area of demand over here. Let me just point it out over here. Then again, holding, pushing out of it, pulling back into it, pushing out of it again. So overall, yeah, the daily is still bullish. The bearish argument, however, is that we have this area of supply. We saw a liquidation occur inside of it. Let me just point that out. So this is your daily liquidity. We saw the equal highs popped up above the highs, and then straight away saw kind of like this fake out occur of people buying this breakout of the overall resistance. But at the end of the day, we know as supply and demand traders, people who use liquidity, that this was just simple liquidation occurring over here. So as of yet, the daily has not yet provided a daily change of character. This is this low over here. Once that does happen, then I would have more conviction that there is possibly more bearish downside incoming. But as of now, as long as this low over here holds, which is also not the 4-hour swing low, the 4-hour swing low is this low over here, but still, as long as this low does not break, we don't see anything really of any conviction in towards the downside. I still expect, of course, higher prices with the overall bullish order flow and the overall bullish market structure. So with that said, let's dive in towards the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, what can we expect? Well, the overall order flow is bullish in towards the highs. Let me just point it out for you guys to make it very clear. So over here we can see impulse in towards the highs. A lot of people of course would look at this being the impulse pullback, impulse pullback. So they would say, why is this not the swing low, Fabio, and this your swing high, this your swing high, and then potential new swing low over here? Well, mainly due to the fact that this is the lowest point which broke this high. So this is now your swing low, not this low, this low. So even though it does seem very counterintuitive, this is your swing low. So at the moment, this low over here, this is going to be acting as liquidity for me. I would love to see that low go, see a push in towards downside with the overall 4-hour order flow. At the moment, we saw a break of this area of demand on the 4-hour and this area of 4-hour supply hold, which caused a 4-hour change of character. So then, since we pushed back down even lower again, we once again saw a 4-hour change of character, meaning that the overall 4-hour change of character order flow, whatever you want to call it, is bearish, and we could now see, let's say, a pullback, push again, or at least we already saw a pullback, of course, but we could still see kind of like a next push down, break, and then let's say pull back in towards demand or supply, and then further downside continuation. So just keep that in mind. I'll be mainly focusing on the 4-hour time frame, and really going to be anticipating what happens Monday. So if Monday we see kind of like an aggressive sell-off, you can definitely still look for further sells in towards the downside. Of course, it's getting riskier the closer that we come in towards this EQ, but for now I will be looking for further downside on euro dollar. However, if we see a break of, let me just see, this high over here, we'll see a bullish change of character. We'll come back in towards this area of supply. Then I'll definitely be looking for longs once again. So just keep that in mind. It's really dependent on whichever low breaks first. So let me just draw them one more time. If this high breaks, look for longs. If this low breaks, look for sells. That's pretty much my bias for the week ahead, and what I'll be acting upon. And of course, then based on a lot more factors, I will know, of course, if I have to sell or if I have to not sell, or if I have to buy or if I have to not buy. So let's say we push down, pull back, push down, then of course you're coming in towards the EQ. Then it gets a lot riskier if you're still selling, and of course if you start breaking this high, push down and then push up again, you'll have a break of structure. What do you expect after a break of structure? We expect to pull back. So of course you can kind of like take over the analysis, but always keep in mind how to act upon it. So that's euro dollar. Let's head over to Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar on the daily time frame. Aussie dollar on the daily time frame is still bearish. This is your swing high, this is your swing low. Of course, we expect push down, pull back, push down. So still looking for further downside from a daily perspective on Aussie dollar. Reacted to, of course, this area of demand. This area of demand did not hold. Aussie dollar at the moment is getting really messy. With this whole China situation, it's really hard to trade Aussie dollar normally, because of course China and both the US dollar are involved with this kind of like trade issue going on. If the US dollar is not used by China anymore, this will of course impact the US dollar massively. For your information, why am I referring to China? The Australian economy is heavily dependent on the Chinese economy, because China is the main trade partner of Australia. So everything that goes on with China directly affects Australian dollar as well. So if you look, for example, at the lower time frame being the 4-hour, and you see, for example, a buy, or you see, for example, this sell-off. So this sell-off, for example, despite, let's say, the dollar being weak, it's still, let's say, sells off due to the fact that China, or that there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding kind of like what is going to be happening between China and the US, and that is also the main reason why we're pretty much just seeing overall Aussie dollar just range in between this high and this low. So a lot of uncertainty for Aussie dollar, but overall, if we look at the daily time frame, we of course are still bearish, and we are still looking for further downside. One quick side note though is that we saw a daily change of character, so that could kind of like signify that we are going to be seeing higher prices. We saw a liquidation low over here get taken, so the next kind of like most interesting area that you want to be looking at when it comes to Aussie dollar is pretty much this buy before the big sell-off. So just keep that in mind. Whatever the 4-hour is doing, we have potential to come higher. At the moment, we saw a 4-hour break of structure. The break of structure, however, was minimal. Straight out the break of structure, we saw a pullback in towards the downside, so nothing really that convincing. Could have just been a fake out, kind of like inducing in buyers, getting buy-side liquidity. So just keep it in mind. We still have a lot of liquidity over here underneath kind of like this trend line. So I do definitely see still potential for Aussie dollar to drop off. We don't have any clear areas of fresh demand as well. Everything has already been taken. So what I would preferably want to see is, let's say, a pullback in towards the highs. Take, let's say, some liquidity above these highs over here, and look, for example, to sell from this area of supply over here. I'm not really that convinced of this break of structure, and the daily, of course, is still bearish. So I am kind of like having or holding in favor further sells. Quickly just drawing in some 4-hour supply and demand. This, of course, is your zone. This again is kind of like overall your sell before the buy off. As you can see, boom, pulls back in towards the sell before the buy, drops off again, comes back in towards the sell before the buy, drops off again. So yeah, we could definitely still see kind of like a further downside. Overall, I would want to say, okay, Aussie dollar is super easy to analyze, but the problem is that we've been tapping into every single supply and demand zone that there is. So it's really hard to kind of like say with conviction what I expect of Aussie dollar. All I can say is the daily is still bearish, so I would preferably go with that bearish bias and still look for this daily area of demand to get hit. that definitely holds my favor. So I'll be looking to further sell off Aussie dollar for sure if we do pull back kind of like higher in towards these areas of higher supply. Because overall, if you just quickly draw in, of course, a premium versus discount tool from this low in towards this high, we tapped already underneath the EQ, so it's not good to look for sells over here. But of course, going back in towards the overall premium of the range, then it gets more interesting. But then we'll have to look, okay, what is the 15-minute doing? And is it still interesting from a 15-minute perspective to look for sells? 15-minute, however, overall is still bullish. However, we do have bearish order flow. So I will be looking for longs on the Aussie dollar back in towards the highs. What I'll need for that is a break of this high over here. So once this high breaks, that means that the internal structure on Aussie dollar, which is bearish at the moment, like this, becomes bullish, and then we can look for longs overall in line with the 4-hour trend. And then of course with that daily change of character as well. So daily change of character, which is bullish, 4-hour overall swing structure is bullish, and then the 15-minute internal structure and the 15-minute swing structure both bullish. Then I'm more than happy to look for longs back up into kind of like these fresh 4-hour zone and the fresh 15-minute zone, fresh 15-minute zone. So that's what I'll be looking for on Aussie dollar. So let's have a look to pound dollar. So pound dollar from a daily perspective, what is going on? Well, we saw a daily break of structure over here. So daily break of structure, what does that mean? This is now our swing low, strong swing low. This is now your swing high. After break of structure, what do we expect? We expect a pullback. So keep that in mind when trading. Now looking at the 4-hour time frame, what can we see over there? Well, what I can see is that we're kind of chopping up in towards the highs, not really seeing big swings, kind of like this corrective price action. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a sell-off in the near future. At the moment, we're kind of like chilling over here at the EQ of the overall range, which is, if you look at supply and demand, a 4-hour zone over here. But yeah, again, nothing really too much conviction. We're seeing very choppy price action in towards the downside. So this again is kind of like counter to what we would like to see, because of course after daily break of structure, we now kind of want to see, let's say, a lot of momentum in towards downside. So looking for those aggressive sells, which can then help us trade back in towards, let's say, the daily EQ, which is from this low all the way to this high. So kind of like trade towards this EQ. But we're not really seeing that at the moment. This kind of like descending choppy price action is more a tail sign that there's further upside to come, and that there aren't really any obvious supply areas to sell from. So that's kind of like an issue for me personally. What I'll be waiting for at the moment is just really more from a 15-minute perspective, kind of dive in towards there, see how we react on the 15-minute time frame. But first of all, on the daily, I just want to pop something out. What is happening? We have, of course, a daily which is bullish. So then we're going to be looking, okay, from what kind of like areas of demand can we look to buy? Well, this was kind of like a sell before the buy. Boom, tap back in, got back out. This was then your sell before the buy. Boom, move out, tap back in, move back out. Then this was your sell before the buy, but then boom, boom, tap out, tap back in. So now this is your sell before the buy over here. Wrong zone. This is your sell before the buy. As you can see, we just didn't touch it, so I'll be looking at that. But yeah, very clear bullish order flow at the moment. Looking at the 4-hour as well, still bullish. So there is definitely still potential for higher prices hidden through the 4-hour EQ. So yeah, I'm not looking at sales at all, to be honest, even though that break of structure, this is making it much more clear for myself as well. I'll be looking for further upside on pound dollar. Looking at the 15-minute, what do we need for that? Overall 15 minutes is bullish, just to kind of like showcase you what the swing structure is on the 15. Push down, push up, push down, push up, all the way in towards there. So this is now your 15-minute swing low. This is your 15-minute swing high, same as the 4-hour. So what we want to see, well, you want to see kind of, okay, from where can we start looking to take longs? Well, this was your 15-minute zone over here. This was your sell before the big buy. Price came in towards there, reacted, but never was able to break these highs over here. So not strong enough, and we saw further sell-off again, right? So the overall internal 15-minute structure is still bearish. If we look at what's happening, we can see push down, let's say push up, push down, push up. Let me just make it a little bit more clean. Push down, push up, push down. So at the moment, what is the high to break? This is the high to break. So once we see a break of this high, then look for longs in line with the overall daily trend, daily order flow, 4-hour order flow. and that is what I'll be looking for. So if we can take out this high, then I'll be looking for those longs on the 15-minute, but otherwise I'll just be waiting, of course, for a further pullback, because as long as the bearish order flow sustains, you can still look for those 15-minute shorts in towards the downside, with the most interesting zone being this one over here. Let me just quickly see. This sell or this buy before the sell-off was supply for this sell-off over here. So yeah, this is pretty much the most interesting zone from where I'll be looking for a potential short, in line with kind of like the internal structure on GU on the 15-minute. Then yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I'll be looking for, definitely, on the 15-minute time frame. If the 15-minute time frame moves in towards this area of supply with conviction over on Monday, Tuesday, I'll be looking for shorts from here. If we don't see any reaction, no entry models provided, then we look for a break of this high over here, and then we look for longs upon a pullback, and then we can look for higher prices in line with the daily structure, 4-hour structure, daily order flow, 4-hour order flow, because of course we're still located inside of this 4-hour area of demand. So yeah, pretty much of a long weekly market outlook. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, really during this session, I just really kind of like spoke my mind, really kind of bringing you guys on board with my thought process. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I wish you all a fantastic day. Thanks, guys.